"I'm sure there's something on it," my brother said, tossing a crumpled gift card onto my daughter's birthday pile like he was doing her a favor. There was $2.47 left on it. He didn't know I was the anonymous family friend who'd been paying $14,000 for his twins' orthodontia. He was about to find out what that ignorance cost. If you've ever been the invisible wallet for people who treat you like spare change, hit that subscribe button. Because this story is for you. Let me take you back to the beginning. My name is Beatrice Morton. I'm 35 years old, and for the past 8 years, I've worked as the practice manager at Hartwell Orthodontics in suburban Philadelphia. I handle billing, insurance coordination, treatment plans, and patient relations. I know every payment plan in our system, every hardship case, every anonymous benefactor, including the one who'd been covering my brother Trent's children. Trent is 5 years younger than me, 30 years old, though you wouldn't know it from the way he carries himself. He's been chasing what he calls financial freedom since he dropped out of business school at 22. First it was day trading, then dropshipping, then NFTs. Now it's cryptocurrency. He calls himself an early adopter, an investor, a visionary in the decentralized finance space. What he actually is broke. But you'd never know it from his Instagram, the leased BMW, the watches he buys on credit, the posts about building generational wealth while he can't afford his kids' dental work. Our parents think he's brilliant, a risk taker, an entrepreneur. Trent's just waiting for his big break. Mom always says. He's not like you, B. He thinks bigger. What she means is, I'm the practical one, the boring one, the one who got a degree in healthcare administration, who's worked the same job for 8 years, who drives a Honda Civic and lives in a modest 3-bedroom house with my daughter Chloe. Chloe is 10 now. She's been my whole world since her father left when she was 2. No child support, no contact, just me and her, building a life one careful decision at a time. I don't post about my 401k contributions on social media. I don't brag about the emergency fund I've spent a decade building. I don't mention the rental property I bought 3 years ago that's been quietly appreciating. I just work. I save. I plan. And apparently, I pay for things my family never notices. The orthodontia situation started 2 years ago. Trent's twins, Marcus and Miles, were 12 at the time. They needed braces badly. Crowding, misalignment, the kind of issues that only get worse without intervention. Trent brought them into Hartwell for a consultation. I wasn't in the room. I made sure of that. But I saw the treatment plan afterward. Full orthodontic work for both boys. $28,000 total, with insurance covering roughly half. The remaining balance, $14,200. Trent set up a payment plan, $395 per month for 3 years. He made exactly 2 payments. After the 3rd month, I saw the account flag for non-payment, then the 4th. By month 5, the practice manager in me knew what came next. Collection calls, treatment suspension, possible removal of the hardware mid-treatment. The aunt in me made a different decision. I set up an anonymous payment arrangement, told our billing coordinator it was a family friend who wanted to help but preferred to remain unnamed. We do this occasionally for hardship cases. No one questioned it. For 18 months, I paid $395 from my personal account into my brother's balance. Some months I paid extra to get ahead of interest. I watched the balance drop from $14,200 to $4,800. I never told anyone, not my parents, not Trent, not even Chloe. Why? Because I told myself it wasn't about Trent. It was about Marcus and Miles, 2 boys who didn't choose their father. 2 boys who deserved straight teeth and proper bites, and the confidence that comes with not being embarrassed to smile. I told myself I was being a good aunt. What I was actually being was an enabler. Every family dinner, Trent would talk about his latest crypto position, how he was this close to a major breakthrough, how the market was about to turn, how anyone who didn't understand blockchain was going to be left behind. My parents would nod along, fascinated. Meanwhile, I just made another $395 payment so his kids could keep their braces. He never thanked me. He never knew to thank me, and I never expected him to. That was the arrangement I'd made with myself. But then came Chloe's 10th birthday. We held it at our house. Nothing extravagant. Backyard party, homemade cake, 12 kids from her class, a craft station where they made friendship bracelets. Chloe had been planning it for months. I invited family, of course, my parents, Trent and his wife Danielle, the twins. Mom and Dad arrived with a card containing a $50 gift card to Target. Thoughtful, practical, exactly enough for Chloe to pick out something she wanted. They also brought a wrapped present, a nice journal set with gel pens, because Chloe's been getting into creative writing. Trent's family arrived 45 minutes late. Danielle didn't apologize, just swept in with her designer sunglasses pushed up on her head, holding a bottle of wine she'd clearly grabbed from their own rack. "For you," she said, handing it to me, "since you're hosting." The twins mumbled hello to Chloe and immediately asked for the Wi-Fi password. Trent had his phone out before he even sat down. Checking charts, I assumed? The market never sleeps when you're building generational wealth. The party went fine despite them. Chloe and her friends had fun. The craft station was a hit. The cake was chocolate with raspberry filling, her favorite, and I'd stayed up until midnight the night before getting the frosting just right. When it came time for presents, Chloe sat in the middle of the living room while her friends gathered around. She opened gifts from her classmates first. Art supplies, books, a stuffed animal, a gift card to the movies, then family gifts. My parents' journal set made her beam. "I'm going to write a whole book in this," she announced. Then Trent's turn. He hadn't brought a wrapped present. I'd noticed when they arrived, but said nothing. Maybe Danielle had it in her purse. Maybe they'd shipped something. Instead, Trent reached into his back pocket and pulled out a crumpled rectangle of plastic. A gift card. Creased down the middle. No envelope. No wrapping. He held it out to Chloe like he was handing her a 20. "Here you go, kiddo. Happy birthday." Chloe took it carefully, trying to smooth out the crease. It was a Starbucks gift card. The kind you get as a freebie with a purchase or find in a drawer and forget about. "Thank you, Uncle Trent," she said, because I raised her to be polite. "I'm sure there's something on it," Trent said, already looking back at his phone. Danielle added nothing. The twins were on the couch, not even watching. My mother laughed. Not meanly exactly, but that dismissive laugh she does when she wants to smooth something over. "Oh, Trent, you're terrible at presents. Always have been." "Hey, gift cards are practical," he said, not looking up. "She can get whatever she wants." I said nothing. Later, after the party, after everyone had left, Chloe and I sat on her bed, going through her gifts. She organized everything carefully. The journal set got prime placement on her desk. The art supplies went into her craft bin. The Starbucks card sat apart from the others. "Mom?" she asked, turning it over in her hands. "Yeah, sweetheart?" "How much do you think is on here?" I took it from her gently. There was a website printed on the back to check the balance. "Let's find out." I pulled up the site on my phone, entered the card number. Balance, $2.47. Chloe leaned over to look at the screen. She didn't cry. She didn't complain. She just nodded once, that small, resigned nod I've seen her develop over the years when family disappoints her. "That's not even enough for a drink," she said quietly. "No, it's not." "Why did he even give it to me then?" I had no answer. Nothing that wouldn't sound like an excuse for a grown man who couldn't be bothered to buy his niece a $10 present for her 10th birthday. "I don't know, baby." She put the card in her desk drawer, not with her other gifts. Separate. Like she didn't want it touching the things people had actually thought about. "Mom, do they even like me? Uncle Trent and Aunt Danielle?" The question hit me somewhere deep, somewhere that had been building pressure for 18 months. I pulled her close. Sometimes adults get so caught up in their own stuff that they forget to show up for the people who matter. It's not about you, Chloe. It's never been about you. It feels like it's about me. I know, but I promise you, you are worthy of so much more than a wrinkled gift card from someone's pocket. She hugged me tighter. I held my daughter on her 10th birthday while she processed being worth $2.47 to my brother. And something inside me shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet click, like a lock sliding into place. I thought about Marcus and Miles, the braces I'd been paying for, the $4,800 still remaining on their treatment plan. I thought about every family dinner where Trent talked about being early while I silently subsidized his children's health care. I thought about my daughter's face when she saw that balance. $2.47. That was what her birthday was worth to him. I'd given his family $9,400 over 18 months. I'd covered orthodontia he couldn't afford while he leased luxury cars and bragged about cryptocurrency portfolios that never seemed to materialize into actual money. And his gift to my daughter was pocket lint. Chloe fell asleep that night holding her new journal. I tucked her in, turned off her light, and went downstairs to my home office. I opened my laptop. I logged into the Hartwell Orthodontics billing system, the same system I'd used to set up that anonymous payment arrangement 18 months ago. I pulled up Trent Morton's account. Remaining balance, $4,800. Next payment due, the 15th. From my account. The anonymous family friend. I stared at that screen for a long time. Then I clicked on Payment Arrangement, then Modify. Then very quietly, very deliberately, I began to type. I changed the payment arrangement status from active to terminated. The system asked for a reason. I selected Benefactor Withdrawal, no further payments authorized. I added a note for our billing coordinator. Anonymous donor has elected to discontinue support effective immediately. Please resume standard collection procedures for remaining balance. Then I clicked Confirm. The screen refreshed. Trent Morton's account now showed a past due balance of $4,800 with the next payment, $395, due in 11 days. A payment that would no longer come from my account. A payment he had no idea he was supposed to be making. I closed the laptop and went to bed. I slept better than I had in months. Monday morning, I arrived at Hartwell Orthodontics at 7:45, same as always. I made coffee in the break room. I reviewed the day's schedule. I answered emails. At 9:15, our billing coordinator, Melissa, knocked on my office door. Hey, B, that anonymous payment arrangement for the Morton twins? The donor pulled out? That's what the note said, I confirmed, not looking up from my screen. Okay, so I'm moving them to standard collection protocols? That's procedure. Got it. I'll send the first notice today. She left. I kept working. The first notice went out that afternoon. A standard letter explaining that the payment arrangement had been terminated and the responsible party, Trent Morton, was now liable for the remaining balance of $4,800, with $395 due immediately and the remainder subject to our payment terms. The letter also noted that failure to establish a new payment arrangement within 30 days would result in treatment suspension. Treatment suspension for orthodontic patients mid-correction means one thing. The braces come off. Not because the treatment is complete, but because continuing without payment isn't an option. The teeth, partially moved, would begin to shift back. Months of progress, undone. I knew exactly what that letter meant when it landed in Trent's mailbox. I sent it anyway. 4 days later, my phone rang. Trent's number. I let it go to voicemail. He called again an hour later. Then twice more that evening. I didn't answer. The voicemail he finally left was confused, not angry. Not yet. Hey, B, it's Trent. So I got this weird letter from your office about the boys' braces. Something about a payment arrangement being canceled. I thought that was all handled. Can you call me back and explain what's going on? There's got to be some kind of mistake. I didn't call back. The second letter went out a week later. This one included late fees. The balance was now $4,847. The tone was firmer. Failure to remit payment or establish an approved arrangement will result in treatment discontinuation. Trent called 6 more times over the next 3 days. His voicemails escalated. B, seriously, what's happening? I need you to fix this. This is insane. The letter says I owe almost $5,000. I set up a payment plan 2 years ago. Call me back. This isn't funny. On the 8th day, he showed up at the practice. I saw him pull into the parking lot from my office window. The leased BMW. The confident stride toward the entrance. He was wearing a polo shirt with some crypto company logo on it, like he was heading to a networking event instead of begging for his children's dental care. I stayed in my office. I heard him at the front desk, asking to speak with whoever handles billing. Melissa directed him to the patient consultation room. I watched through the interior window as our office administrator, Patricia, sat down with him. Patricia is 62, unflappable, and has been handling difficult financial conversations longer than Trent's been alive. I'd briefed her that morning. "Mr. Morton, I understand you received our notices regarding your son's treatment." "Yeah, I did. And there's been some kind of error. I had a payment plan. It was being handled." "You did have a payment arrangement, yes. The payments were being made by an anonymous third party who has since withdrawn their support." Silence. "An anonymous third party?" "Correct. Someone had been covering your monthly payments since month 3 of the treatment plan. That arrangement has been terminated." "Who?" "I'm not at liberty to disclose that information. The donor requested anonymity." "Well, I need to know who it was so I can talk to them. There's obviously been a misunderstanding." "I'm afraid I can't help you with that. What I can tell you is that your current balance is $4,847, and we need to establish a payment arrangement to continue your son's treatment." "I don't have $5,000. We offer extended payment plans?" "You don't understand. I'm between liquidity events right now. My portfolio is... the market's in a correction phase. I can't just..." He stopped, regrouped. "What happens if I can't pay?" "Treatment will be suspended. The braces will be removed." "But they're not done yet." "No, they're not." Another silence. Longer this time. "This is insane. Someone was paying for my kid's braces and just stopped? Who does that?" "Someone who was under no obligation to start in the first place, Mr. Morton." He left without establishing a payment plan. I watched the BMW peel out of the parking lot. That night, he called me 14 times. I answered on the 15th. "B, finally." His voice was tight, controlled. "I need to know if it was you." "If what was me?" "The payments. For the twins. Someone at your office was paying for their braces and they stopped. Was it you?" I sat at my kitchen table, watching Chloe through the window. She was in the backyard, writing in her birthday journal under the maple tree. "Yes." A beat of silence. "What do you mean, yes?" "I mean, yes, Trent. I was the one making the payments. I've been paying $395 a month for the past 18 months. I've put $9,400 into your children's orthodontia because you stopped paying after month 2. Why would you..." He stopped, started again. Okay, that's actually really... thank you, B. Seriously, that's above and beyond. But why did you stop? We can talk about this. If it's a money thing, I can... You gave my daughter a used gift card with $2.47 on it for her 10th birthday. Silence. You showed up 45 minutes late to her party. You didn't bring a wrapped present? You pulled a crumpled piece of plastic from your pocket, handed it to a 10-year-old, and said, "I'm sure there's something on it." There was $2.47 on it. Trent. Not even enough for a child's hot chocolate. B, come on. It was just, I didn't realize... I have been subsidizing your family for a year and a half. I have paid nearly $10,000 so your sons could have straight teeth while you post about cryptocurrency on Instagram and lease cars you can't afford. And your gift to my daughter was literally garbage from your wallet. It wasn't... I didn't mean it like... Do you know what she asked me that night? She asked if you even like her. She's 10 years old and she had to ask me if her uncle likes her, because you couldn't be bothered to buy her a birthday card. Okay, I hear you. I screwed up. But B, you can't just... The boys need their treatment finished. You can't punish them because I gave Chloe a bad gift. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm simply no longer paying for something that was never my responsibility in the first place. But you started, and now I've stopped. B, please. The balance is almost $5,000. I don't have it. The market's... Then figure it out. Sell the watch. Return the BMW. Cash out whatever portfolio you claim to have. Or don't. But I'm done. This is crazy. You're going to let my kids' teeth get messed up over a gift card? No, Trent. You're going to let your kids' teeth get messed up because you haven't made a payment on their treatment in 20 months. I was just the invisible safety net you never knew existed. And now you know it existed, and now you know it's gone. I'll talk to Mom and Dad. They'll what? Pay for it? They don't have that kind of money, but by all means, tell them. Tell them how you stopped paying after 2 months. Tell them someone else has been covering it. Tell them who that someone was, and tell them why she stopped. He was breathing hard now, the bravado cracking. What do you want? An apology? I'll apologize. I'll get Chloe a real present. A good one. Just don't do this. I don't want an apology. I don't want a present. I don't want anything from you, Trent. That's the point. For 18 months, I gave and gave and gave, and all I got back was the confirmation that I'm not even worth $10 to you. So now I'm done giving, and I'm done expecting. B. The payment deadline is in 3 days. After that, late fees accrue daily. After 30 days, treatment suspension. That's the policy. I didn't make the rules. I just finally stopped breaking them for you. I hung up. He called back immediately. I declined. He texted, "Please, B, think about the twins." I blocked his number. He showed up at my house 40 minutes later, banging on the front door. Chloe looked up from her journal, alarmed. "Stay here, sweetheart." I went to the door but didn't open it. "Go home, Trent." "B, open the door. We need to talk about this face to face." "There's nothing to talk about. I made a decision. It's done." "You can't just—" His voice cracked. "This is my kids, B. Then take care of them, like I've been taking care of mine. I'm sorry about the gift card, okay? Is that what you want to hear?" Chloe appeared behind me in the hallway. Her eyes were wide. I looked at my daughter. Then I looked at the shadow of my brother through the frosted glass of my front door. "Go home," I said again, quieter this time, final. "Don't come back here. Don't call me. Don't text me. We're done. B, we're done." I turned the deadbolt. The click echoed in the hallway. Trent stood on my porch for another 3 minutes. I know because I watched the shadow through the glass. Then he left. I walked back to Chloe, who was standing frozen in the hallway with her journal clutched to her chest. "Mom, why was Uncle Trent yelling?" I knelt down to her level. "Sometimes, sweetheart, people get upset when they realize their choices have consequences. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's just what happens when someone finally says enough. Are you okay?" I pulled her into a hug. "Yeah, baby. I think I finally am." The next 3 weeks were the quietest of my adult life. No calls from Trent, no texts, no BMW pulling into my driveway. I'd blocked him on everything, phone, email, social media, and the silence that followed felt less like absence and more like oxygen. Chloe noticed the difference before I did. "Mom, you're humming," she said one morning over breakfast. "Am I? You never hum." She was right. I'd spent so many years carrying tension I didn't even recognize as tension. The low-grade anxiety of waiting for the next request, the next disappointment, the next moment where I'd swallow my feelings to keep the peace. Now that weight was gone, and apparently my body had started making sounds of relief without my permission. At work, I watched the Morton account from a professional distance. The 30-day deadline came and went. No payment, no arrangement. Patricia sent the final notice. Treatment suspension effective immediately. The twins came in on a Thursday afternoon. I stayed in my office, but I could hear them in the treatment room. The sound of brackets being removed. The confused questions from Marcus. "But we're not done yet, right?" Their mother, Danielle, was in the waiting room. I caught a glimpse of her through the window. She was on her phone, probably texting Trent, her face tight with the particular anger of someone who just discovered their lifestyle was built on foundations they didn't know existed. They left with referral paperwork for a payment plan-friendly orthodontist across town. The kind of place with fluorescent lighting and outdated magazines. A significant step down from Hartwell. I felt nothing. Not guilt, not satisfaction. Just the clean neutrality of someone who had finally stopped setting themselves on fire to keep others warm. My parents called that weekend. I'd been expecting it. Beatrice Ann Morton, Mom's full name voice, the one she used when she wanted me to know I was in trouble. "What on earth is going on with you and your brother?" "I'm not sure what you mean." "Don't play dumb with me. Trent told us everything. About the payments. About you cutting off his boys in the middle of their treatment. How could you do something so cruel?" I sat on my back porch, watching Chloe practice cartwheels in the yard. She'd gotten better since summer started. "Did Trent tell you he stopped paying after 2 months?" "He said there were cash flow issues." Did he tell you I covered $9,400 over 18 months without ever being asked or thanked? A pause. He mentioned there was some kind of anonymous arrangement. It was me, Mom. I was the anonymous arrangement. I watched his account go delinquent, and I couldn't stand the thought of Marcus and Miles suffering for their father's choices. So I paid. Every month. For a year and a half. Well, that was very generous of you, but did he tell you what he gave Chloe for her birthday? I don't see what that has to do with a used Starbucks gift card with $2.47 left on it. He pulled it from his pocket, crumpled, and handed it to my daughter like spare change. She asked me afterward if her uncle even likes her. Silence on the line. She's 10 years old. She had to ask me if her family likes her. While I was paying thousands of dollars for his children's dental work, he couldn't be bothered to spend $10 on mine. Beatrice, I'm sure he didn't think about it at all. That's the point. I've spent my whole adult life being invisible to this family. The reliable one, the boring one, the one who handles things quietly while Trent gets celebrated for potential he never delivers on. And I'm done. Now you're being dramatic. I'm being honest, for the first time and maybe ever. Trent needs to learn that his choices have consequences. Real ones. Ones that don't get cushioned by the sister he takes for granted. But the boys have 2 parents. Those parents need to step up. That's not my job. It never was. Mom tried 3 more times to guilt me into resuming payments. Family sticks together. Blood is thicker than water. What will people think? I said no to each one. Eventually, Dad got on the line. He cleared his throat 3 times before speaking, which was more engagement than I usually got from him. Your mother's upset. I know. Trent's in a tough spot. Trent's been in a tough spot since he was 22. At some point, it stops being bad luck and starts being bad choices. Another throat clear. I suppose you've made up your mind. I have. He hung up without saying goodbye. Somehow, that silence said more than anything Mom had yelled. Over the next several months, news filtered back to me through the family grapevine. Cousins, aunts, the occasional social media post that slipped through before I muted everyone connected to Trent. The BMW was repossessed in August. I heard about it from my cousin Rachel, who'd seen Danielle at the grocery store looking haggard. Apparently, the lease payments had been 2 months behind even before I stopped subsidizing the orthodontia. My withdrawal was just the domino that started the cascade. By October, they'd sold the house. Not sold, really. Short sale was the term Rachel used. They owed more than it was worth, and the bank agreed to let them walk away rather than face foreclosure. They moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in a complex near the highway, the kind of place with assigned parking and a shared laundry room in the basement. Trent's crypto portfolio, the one he'd been so confident about, turned out to be worth less than the twins' remaining orthodontia bill. The liquidity event he'd been waiting for never materialized. The market didn't correct in his favor. It just kept correcting. He got a job at a distribution warehouse in November. Night shifts, from what I heard. Loading trucks. His back bothered him after the first week. He complained about it on Facebook, one of the last posts before he deleted his accounts entirely, blaming the economy and short-sighted investors and everyone except himself. Danielle filed for separation in December. Not divorce, not yet, but she moved back in with her parents and took the twins with her. The apartment was too small, she told Rachel. The stress was too much. She needed space to figure out what comes next. What came next, apparently, was Trent alone in that 2-bedroom apartment, working nights, driving a 10-year-old Camry he'd bought off Craigslist for $3,800 cash. My parents tried to help, of course. They'd never had much money. Dad's pension and Mom's part-time work at the church office barely covered their own expenses, but they scraped together what they could. A few hundred here. Grocery money there. It wasn't enough. It was never going to be enough. Trent had built his entire life on the assumption that someone would always catch him, that his potential would eventually convert to success, that the universe owed him something for being clever and confident and willing to take risks. The universe, it turned out, didn't agree. I heard he called my parents one night in February, crying. Actually crying. Talking about how he'd lost everything, how nothing had turned out the way he planned, how he couldn't understand where it all went wrong. Mom told me this during one of her monthly guilt trip calls, clearly hoping it would soften me. He's your brother, Beatrice. He needs his family. He had his family. He had a sister who paid nearly $10,000 to protect his children from his own failures, and he still couldn't be bothered to buy her daughter a birthday present. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. Mistakes are forgetting to pick up milk. Mistakes are missing an appointment. What Trent did was show me, clearly and consistently, exactly how much I mattered to him, and I finally believed him. She didn't call again for 3 months. Spring arrived with cherry blossoms and Little League sign-ups. Chloe joined a team, something we'd never had money for before, back when I was funneling $395 a month into someone else's children's teeth. Now that money went to registration fees, cleats, batting gloves. She wasn't very good at first, missed more balls than she hit, but she loved it. Loved the team, the practices, the feeling of belonging to something that was entirely hers. I sat in the bleachers every Saturday morning, coffee in hand, watching her take swings at pitches that were probably too fast for her skill level. She missed. She adjusted. She tried again. That's what I tried to teach her all along. That failure isn't final. That effort matters. That you show up for the people who matter, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. One evening in late April, Chloe and I were cooking dinner together. Her new favorite activity since she'd discovered she could actually reach the stove now. Spaghetti with homemade sauce. The kitchen smelled like garlic and tomatoes and basil from the pot on the windowsill. "Mom?" she asked, stirring carefully. "Yeah, sweetheart." "Do you ever miss Uncle Trent and everybody?" I considered the question, considered the honest answer versus the easy one. "I miss who I wish they were," I finally said, "but I don't miss how I felt when I was around them." She nodded slowly, processing this with the seriousness she brought to everything these days. "I don't miss feeling like I was less important than Marcus and Miles," she said quietly, like everything was about them and I was just there. "I know, baby. I felt that way too." "But not anymore?" "No, not anymore." She went back to stirring, then without looking up, "I like our family better now, just us." Something in my chest loosened. A knot I hadn't realized I was still carrying. "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." Later that night, after Chloe was asleep, I sat on the back porch with a glass of wine and the kind of quiet that comes from finally being at peace. The fireflies were out, blinking their slow patterns across the yard. I thought about Trent, alone in his apartment, working night shifts and wondering where it all went wrong. I thought about my parents, still hoping for a reconciliation they didn't understand, couldn't come. I thought about Marcus and Miles, whose teeth would probably never be quite right now, casualties of their father's choices. I didn't feel guilty. I had spent years feeling guilty for things that were never my fault, for not doing enough, being enough, giving enough, for existing without permission in a family that saw me as a resource rather than a person. Those days were over. I wasn't carrying anyone else's weight anymore, just my own and my daughter's. Which wasn't weight at all, really, but purpose, direction. The reason I got up every morning and worked and saved and planned. Chloe was thriving. Her grades were excellent. Her Little League team had won 3 games. She'd filled an entire journal with stories and started on a second. She smiled easier now, laughed louder. She'd stopped asking if people liked her. The gift card still sat in her desk drawer. I'd found it a few weeks ago while helping her organize. She'd written on it, in her careful 10-year-old handwriting, "Not worth keeping." But she had kept it. A reminder, maybe, of what not to accept, of how much she was actually worth. A lot more than $2.47. Some doors close, so better ones can open. I hadn't understood that saying until I finally slammed one shut myself. The door I'd closed led to obligation, invisibility, being taken for granted by people who shared my blood but not my values. The door that opened led to Saturday morning baseball games, spaghetti dinners with garlic bread, journals full of stories, and a little girl who knew, finally, completely, without question, that she was enough. That was the only legacy that mattered, and it was mine to give.